What if I told you that one of Hollywood's greatest war epics was built on a foundation of lies, near-fatal accidents, and props so convincing they fooled the entire world? The Guns of Navarone wasn't just a movie, it was a carefully orchestrated illusion that hid some of the most jaw-dropping secrets in cinema history. If you're fascinated by the hidden stories behind classic films, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Trust me, the rabbit hole of Hollywood secrets goes deeper than you think, and I've got plenty more shocking revelations coming your way. Let's count down the 20 most mind-blowing facts about the Guns of Navarone that will completely change how you see this legendary film. Number 20. Preserved in popular culture. The Guns of Navarone didn't just disappear after 1961, it carved itself into the DNA of popular culture like a piece of shrapnel that never fully healed. Over 6 decades later, this war epic remains the gold standard that modern filmmakers desperately try to replicate. Film schools still dissect its structure, military historians reference its tactical sequences, and action directors study its pacing like a sacred text. What makes this cultural preservation even more remarkable is how the film transcended its original medium. The story spawned comic book adaptations, inspired countless video games, and even got the full musical treatment on London's West End in 1995. When a 1960s war movie can successfully transition into song and dance numbers, you know you're dealing with something truly special that taps into universal themes of heroism and sacrifice. But this cultural staying power was just the beginning of Hollywood's obsession with the Navarone formula. Number 19, followed by a sequel. Hollywood's addiction to sequels isn't a modern phenomenon, and the Guns of Navarone proved that even in the 1970s, studios would chase lightning in a bottle. Force 10 from Navarone hit theaters in 1978, bringing a young Harrison Ford into the mix alongside Robert Shaw. But here's what most people don't realize. This sequel was actually based on a completely different Alistair MacLean novel that had nothing to do with the original story. The studio essentially Frankensteined 2 separate narratives together, slapping the Navarone name on an unrelated tale because they knew the brand recognition would sell tickets. It was Hollywood accounting at its most cynical, taking advantage of audiences' emotional connection to the original characters and location. While Harrison Ford's star power helped the sequel find its audience, it never achieved the legendary status of its predecessor. Speaking of legendary status, the original film's runtime was something that raised eyebrows throughout the industry. Number 18. A long running time. At 158 minutes, The Guns of Navarone was practically unheard of for an early 1960s action film. Most movies in that era clocked in around 90 to 100 minutes because theater owners wanted to squeeze in more showings per day to maximize profits. But director J. Lee Thompson had such confidence in his material that he refused to cut a single frame, essentially daring audiences to invest nearly 3 hours of their lives in this story. The gamble paid off spectacularly. Instead of fidgeting in their seats, moviegoers remained glued to the screen, completely absorbed in the escalating tension and character development. Theater owners quickly discovered that despite fewer daily showings, the film's incredible word of mouth was packing houses for weeks on end. It proved that audiences were hungry for substantial storytelling, not just quick thrills. This commitment to epic storytelling would influence an entire generation of filmmakers who weren't afraid to demand their audience's time. Number 17. Inspiration for other war films. The success of the Guns of Navarone didn't just inspire copycats, it literally created a new subgenre of war cinema. The Men on an Impossible Mission template became Hollywood's go-to formula, spawning classics like The Dirty Dozen, Where Eagles Dare, and countless other films that followed the same basic structure. Assemble a team of specialists, infiltrate enemy territory, blow something up, and pray someone survives to tell the tale. What made Navarone the blueprint wasn't just its plot structure, but its approach to character development within action sequences. Previous war films often treated characters as either heroes or cannon fodder, but Navarone showed that you could have both intimate character moments and explosive set pieces without sacrificing either. Directors like Robert Aldrich and Brian G. Hutton studied Thompson's pacing religiously, trying to capture that perfect balance of tension and spectacle. The film's influence extended beyond just storytelling techniques. Even its musical approach became a template. Number 16. Music by Dmitri Tiomkin. Dmitri Tiomkin's score for the Guns of Navarone wasn't just background music, it was psychological warfare designed to manipulate your emotions with surgical precision. The legendary composer, who had already conquered Hollywood with scores for High Noon and Giant, created a musical landscape that could make you feel claustrophobic in wide-open Mediterranean vistas and triumphant during moments of complete despair. Tiomkin's genius lay in his understanding that war films needed music that reflected both the grandeur and the horror of conflict. His main theme starts with a deceptively simple melody that gradually builds into something massive and overwhelming, perfectly mirroring the impossible nature of the mission itself. The Academy recognized this masterwork with an Oscar nomination, though it lost to West Side Story, a decision that still sparks debate among film music enthusiasts. But even Tiomkin's brilliant score couldn't have saved the film if the massive guns themselves hadn't been so utterly convincing. Number 15. Navarone guns were massive models. Those towering coastal artillery pieces that dominated the screen weren't real German weapons. They were elaborate movie magic constructed at Pinewood Studios in England. The production team built these massive props with such obsessive attention to detail that military historians initially assumed they were studying actual Wehrmacht coastal defenses. The illusion was so complete that even today, some viewers refuse to believe these guns were fake. The engineering behind these movie props was genuinely impressive, requiring the same level of precision you'd expect from actual military hardware. Each gun was constructed with working mechanisms, realistic weathering, and authentic-looking battle damage. The crew spent months researching German engineering documents and studying photographs from actual coastal installations to ensure every rivet and gear looked absolutely authentic. This commitment to authenticity extended to every aspect of production, including the people who appeared on screen. Number 14. Real Greek extras. When the production needed authentic Mediterranean faces for crowd scenes, they didn't import actors from Hollywood, they simply recruited the locals. Hundreds of residents from Rhodes and surrounding islands found themselves suddenly thrust into movie stardom, playing everything from German soldiers to Greek resistance fighters. Many of these extras had lived through actual World War II occupation, bringing a level of authenticity to their performances that no acting coach could have provided. The most remarkable aspect of this casting decision was how these real people interacted with Hollywood's biggest stars. Gregory Peck and David Niven found themselves learning Greek phrases from fishermen and shopkeepers who treated them not as movie stars, but as interesting visitors who happened to be playing war games on their island. This cultural exchange created an atmosphere on set that was both professional and genuinely warm. However, the journey from novel to screen required some significant creative intervention. Number 13. Screenplay rewrite by Carl Foreman. Carl Foreman's adaptation of Alistair MacLean's novel wasn't just a simple translation from page to screen. It was a complete reimagining that transformed a straightforward adventure story into something with genuine psychological depth. Foreman, who had been blacklisted during the Hollywood Red Scare but was now working under his own name again, brought a level of character complexity that the original novel had never attempted. MacLean's book was pure pulp adventure, focused primarily on action and plot mechanics. Foreman recognized that movie audiences needed emotional investment in these characters, so he added layers of backstory, moral conflict, and interpersonal tension that elevated the material from simple adventure to genuine drama. His screenplay gave each character distinct motivations, personal demons, and authentic reasons for risking their lives beyond mere patriotic duty. This elevated storytelling approach helped the film achieve something that pure action movies rarely manage. Number 12. Runaway box office hit. With over $28 million in worldwide grosses, The Guns of Navarone became Columbia Pictures' highest-grossing film up to that point, shattering all previous box office records for the studio. But these numbers only tell part of the story. The film's success wasn't just about opening weekend crowds, but about sustained audience engagement that kept theaters packed for months on end. What made this box office performance even more remarkable was how the film succeeded across completely different markets. American audiences loved the Hollywood star power and spectacular action sequences, while European viewers connected with the authentic Mediterranean locations and realistic portrayal of wartime resistance. Asian markets embraced the film's themes of honor and sacrifice, proving that great storytelling could transcend cultural boundaries in ways that studio executives had never imagined. This commercial success inevitably attracted the attention of awards voters. Number 11. Nominated for 7 Oscars. The Academy's recognition of The Guns of Navarone with 7 Oscar nominations wasn't just a nod to popular entertainment, it was Hollywood acknowledging that blockbuster spectacle and artistic achievement weren't mutually exclusive. Nominations for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Editing, Best Score, Best Sound, and Best Screenplay proved that critics and industry professionals recognized genuine craftsmanship behind all the explosions and heroics. What made these nominations particularly significant was the caliber of competition that year. The film was competing against West Side Story, which would ultimately sweep the major categories, along with The Hustler and Judgment at Nuremberg. For an action-adventure film to stand alongside such prestigious dramatic works demonstrated that genre barriers were becoming increasingly meaningless when it came to recognizing excellence. Despite losing most of the major categories, the film did manage to claim one significant victory. Number 10. Academy Award winner. The Guns of Navarone's Oscar win for Best Special Effects was more than just a technical achievement. It was validation of practical movie-making magic at its absolute peak. Competing against The Absent-Minded Professor and Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, The film won based on the sheer scope and realism of its explosive sequences, all created through practical effects, miniatures, and precise timing, rather than any post-production trickery. This award represented the last hurrah of an era when movie magic was created in front of the camera rather than inside a computer. Every explosion, every collapsing cliff face, every dramatic destruction sequence was achieved through careful engineering, controlled demolitions, and split-second coordination between stunt performers and camera operators. The Academy recognized that this level of practical filmmaking was not just technically impressive, but artistically superior to anything that could be achieved through other means. The commitment to practical realism extended to every prop and weapon used throughout production. Number 9. Real weapons and explosions. The production team's decision to use authentic World War II equipment wasn't just about visual accuracy. It was about creating an atmosphere on set that would translate directly into the performances. When actors handled real German machine guns, climbed with actual military climbing gear, and worked around genuine explosives, their reactions carried a weight and authenticity that no amount of acting technique could have provided. This dedication to practical effects created some genuinely dangerous moments during filming. The explosive sequences weren't just controlled demolitions, they were massive, window-rattling blasts that required split-second timing and absolute precision to avoid serious injury. Stunt coordinators worked with military demolitions experts to ensure that every explosion was both spectacular and safe, though safe was a relative term when dealing with the massive quantities of explosives required for the film's climactic sequences. Unfortunately, not everyone on the production escaped unscathed from the physical demands of authentic filmmaking. Number 8. Niven's near-death experience. David Niven's battle with a severe staph infection during production wasn't just a minor medical inconvenience, it was a life-threatening crisis that nearly derailed the entire film. The infection, likely contracted from the unsanitary conditions of location shooting in 1960s Greece, progressed so rapidly that doctors genuinely feared for his survival. For weeks, the production was essentially on hold while one of its major stars fought for his life in a Greek hospital. What makes Niven's recovery even more remarkable is how he insisted on returning to complete his scenes despite still being physically weakened by the ordeal. His dedication to the project went beyond mere professionalism. He understood that the film's success depended on the chemistry between the three leads, and his absence would have fundamentally altered the dynamic that made the story work. Medical experts later confirmed that without modern antibiotics, Niven's infection could easily have been fatal. This near tragedy highlighted just how much talent was concentrated in this single production. Number 7. Star-studded cast. The combination of Gregory Peck, David Niven, and Anthony Quinn wasn't just star power, it was 3 Academy Award winners at the absolute peak of their careers, each bringing distinctly different acting styles that somehow meshed perfectly. Peck's stoic American heroism, Niven's British wit and sophistication, and Quinn's passionate intensity created a character dynamic that felt both natural and dramatically compelling. What made this casting even more impressive was how these established stars were willing to function as an ensemble rather than demanding individual star treatment. Each actor understood that the story's success depended on their ability to work as a team, both on camera and off. This collaborative spirit influenced the entire production, creating an atmosphere where everyone from the biggest stars to the local extras felt like they were part of something genuinely special. The scale of this collaboration was reflected in the film's unprecedented budget. Number 6. Biggest war movie of its time. The $6 million budget for the Guns of Navarone wasn't just expensive, it was an absolutely staggering sum that made it one of the most expensive war films ever produced up to that point. To put this in perspective, most Hollywood productions in 1961 were made for less than $2 million, so Columbia Pictures was essentially betting the studio's financial future on this single project. Every dollar of that budget was visible on screen, from the massive practical sets constructed in Greece to the elaborate special effects sequences that required months of preparation and precise execution. The production employed hundreds of local workers, imported tons of specialized equipment, and maintained operations across multiple countries for nearly a year. Studio executives were genuinely terrified that the film would bankrupt Columbia, but they also recognized that this level of investment was necessary to create something truly spectacular. However, the production's most significant investment wasn't financial, it was emotional. Number 5. Anthony Quinn's passion project. Anthony Quinn didn't just act in the Guns of Navarone, he fell so completely in love with Greece during production that he permanently altered his entire life around this experience. The purchase of land that would eventually become known as Anthony Quinn Bay wasn't a casual real estate investment, it was Quinn's way of maintaining a permanent connection to a place and a project that had profoundly moved him both personally and professionally. Quinn's relationship with Greece went far beyond typical Hollywood location shooting. He learned the language, developed genuine friendships with local residents, and immersed himself so completely in the culture that many Greeks came to consider him an honorary citizen. This authentic connection to the location informed his performance in ways that added layers of emotional truth to what could have been just another action role. But even Quinn's passion couldn't prevent some genuinely terrifying moments during the film's most dangerous sequences. Number 4. Cliffhanger scene almost went wrong. The mountain climbing sequences that have become iconic weren't just challenging to film, they were genuinely life-threatening endeavors, where the line between movie magic and real disaster was razor-thin. Safety protocols in 1961 were nowhere near modern standards, and the actors were essentially performing their own stunts on actual cliff faces with minimal protection and equipment that would be considered primitive by today's standards. What made these sequences even more dangerous was the production team's obsession with visual authenticity. They refused to use obvious safety measures that might be visible to cameras, which meant actors were often operating with far less protection than audiences realized. The genuine terror visible in some performers' faces wasn't acting, it was real fear, as they navigated genuinely perilous situations while trying to deliver convincing performances. The commitment to authentic locations created its own set of remarkable circumstances. Number 3. Filmed in Greece. The decision to shoot in Rhodes and other Greek islands wasn't just about pretty scenery, it was about capturing an authenticity that no Hollywood backlot could have provided. The Mediterranean light, ancient architecture, and rugged landscapes became characters in their own right, transporting audiences directly into the world of wartime resistance and desperate heroism. This location shooting created an unprecedented cultural exchange between Hollywood glamour and Greek island life, resulting in a production atmosphere that felt more like a shared adventure than a typical commercial film shoot. Yet, even with perfect locations and passionate performances, the film might never have existed without a crucial casting decision. Number 2. Gregory Peck wasn't the first choice. Cary Grant's rejection of the Captain Mallory role was one of those sliding doors moments that completely altered cinema history. Grant's decision, based on his belief that at 57 he was too old for physically demanding action sequences, opened the door for Gregory Peck to create what many consider one of his finest performances. This casting change fundamentally altered the film's entire emotional tone. Where Grant would have brought characteristic charm and light comedy, Peck delivered something much more psychologically complex and morally weighted. But even Peck's commanding presence couldn't have saved a weak story. Which brings us to the most fundamental truth about this entire production. Number 1. Based on a best-selling novel, Alistair MacLean's 1957 novel wasn't just source material, it was a literary phenomenon that had already captured millions of readers' imaginations with its blend of authentic military detail and pulse-pounding adventure. MacLean, drawing on his own Royal Navy service during World War II, created a fictional story that felt more real than many actual historical accounts. His characters weren't superhuman action heroes. They were ordinary men pushed to extraordinary lengths by circumstances beyond their control, providing the perfect foundation for a film that would balance spectacular action with genuine human emotion. The Guns of Navarone proved that sometimes the most incredible stories are the ones that feel most real, and the most heroic acts are performed by people who never intended to be heroes at all. From MacLean's typewriter to the cliffs of Rhodes, from Cary Grant's rejection to Anthony Quinn's love affair with Greece, every element seemed destined to create something truly special, a spectacle that felt completely authentically true. If these behind-the-scenes secrets blew your mind as much as they did mine, smash that like button and let me know in the comments which fact shocked you the most. And if you're hungry for more hidden Hollywood stories that'll change how you see classic films forever, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. Trust me, we're just getting started on uncovering the secrets they never wanted you to know.